All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the pre-market show. Hope you're having an amazing morning. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Just give me 1 second. Make sure I got my volume is correct. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, Carlos. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Doing really, really good. All right, guys. So let's get to it. As usual, let's go over our top plays and highlights from yesterday. Here we have our main list from yesterday. We also have some possibles that we had on here, like CREE was not one that was on our list yesterday, but this thing hit our turbo breakdown, and as you can see, had a nice day yesterday. So we'll get into that one. Then, as usual, guys, we'll go over our gappers list right over here. We have some a few we haven't seen here in a while, so that's good. We'll see what's going on there. And then we'll go over NASDAQ active and NASDAQ gainer. So let's see how we traded, what we looked at yesterday. So yesterday we had Target. Again, Target has been on a tear, had a beautiful gap on some earnings, and it kind of gave us a tough time at the open to get going, but then it finally did settle in nicely after a big run on the pre-market. And you can see here, again, just very choppy in this area. Let's make that a little smaller. Again, just very choppy in this area, but once it kind of settled down, it gave you a beautiful move towards the top, breaking the high of the pre-market at 104.50. 54 that you can see here, hitting this moving average, just trading really nicely towards the top. So again, Target being very strong, and this morning should be hitting our gapper scanners. Once it gets to 2%, it's only at 1.4, so it's not going to be on here, but it does have the volume. And again, this will be a good one to watch today because it has such a great day yesterday, and I expect some continuation to happen today. It looks like already up 1.4 with some good volume, so we'll definitely add that to our list. Then we had Lowe's. Lowe's, on the other hand, did not trade so well at all at the open. You can see it's just very choppy, guys. Again, it did kind of give you a nice opening range here, but the pullback was too deep, passing the VWAP all the way almost to the top of the candle that it was that created the first opening range on the 5-minute. Again, this is not really anything clean for opening range breakdown. It does eventually come back down below the VWAP, and this could have been a good entry for sure. But again, I normally wouldn't take a trade like that. It's very tough to trade. And then from there, it just doesn't really do much. Again, just very choppy. It does give you some pops towards the VWAP again. And again, just not as clean as you can see on here. So that was Lowe's yesterday. PDD, this one was even worse than Lowe's. Just look at the chop on here. It had an amazing pre-market activities you can see on here. Just beautiful pre-market action. It has some good volume too, but at the open, just not really a great opening of the market for this one. Even all the way up to 11 o'clock, it was still extremely choppy, just kind of hanging around the VWAP. It seemed like it kept bouncing off this moving average here on the 5. Every time it came down to it, bounced up. But I was watching the price action very closely. Every time it hit a certain level, I think it was 29.60 or so, it just had this nasty drop. And if you look at the 1 minute, this drop was happening very aggressive. So again, just not really clean. I saw some of you guys were able to take a few scalps on this, getting in around 29.23, and then heading towards the highs and then taking some off. But again, just right after it hit a new high, you always had this nasty drop right back down towards the VWAP. So again, PDD, beautiful pre-market activity, but not really a clean open. BZUN was amazing. This one was very nice. This is one I traded for open range breakdown. Unfortunately, I got stopped out at break even when it came back up here. I was not patient enough to hold it, but you can see here it would have been a beautiful re-entry once it couldn't get above the VWAP. Look at this beautiful drop here. So it took a while to actually get dropped below the low of the day and below of the pre-market. This 45.02 is actually a low of the pre-market we had also. And look at this beautiful drop here. It just continues to drop nicely. And then for the entire day, it just kind of hangs on to this moving average. I believe that's the 9. And as we know, sometimes they take a while to get going, but once they get going, they just hold on to a moving average. You can see here dropping all the way down to 42. So again, just became a beautiful short for the entire day. Look at this daily chart here. It's just a beautiful drop on BZUN. Here we had Tesla. I actually didn't watch Tesla too close, so I'm not sure how the price action really was. Looking at it now, doesn't look all that clean, but again, I don't know how the real price action was, because sometimes you have a chart that looks great, you have a nice pattern, but when you look at if you were looking at the price action itself, it was very nasty and difficult to trade. Maybe the spread wasn't clean. Again, so I'm not sure how this one traded, but you have a nice drop here. It looks like it kind of came right back up to the VWAP and then just kind of got pretty nasty. It doesn't look really clean until about 12:30. Now this here, you can clearly tell does not want to go higher than 222 here. Finds a real nice top. Looks like almost like a false VWAP breakout. Tries to stay above VWAP. Cannot. Once it loses this, you can see this beautiful drop, losing the low of the day all the way down to 218, 217.50 or so. Here's Nvidia, guys. Nvidia was amazing. Again, you have this indecision candle, but right after that candle, you have a nice opening range breakup. It takes off nicely after a pullback above the VWAP, above the high of the day. And maybe if you were not convinced it was going to go long, it gives you a nice pullback here for the next opening 5, and that could have been a good re-entry for this one as well. You can see it takes off heading towards the high here. So again, just a beautiful trade on Nvidia. And then later on in the morning, it does get toppy here. Again, you don't want to go short here because you don't know if the move is done. But when it comes back down, tests this moving average, it heads back up, and it hits almost that level on the spot again. This is when you might be thinking, okay, this could now be a double top and a possible short opportunity. And it is, but you have to be patient, right? If you got short in here, you have to wait it out a couple of 30 minutes or so before you actually start getting the drop and then moving on to this moving average here. So again, not an easy thing to do to hold on to this, because sometimes the longer this thing stays consolidating, it can have the opportunity to shoot back up and stop you out. But again, if you were patient enough and had a good entry, this would have been a really nice run all the way down to 171 towards the end of the day. So that was Nvidia, guys. Then PLC, this was also in play. It was very active as well, but again, just look at this activity, not all that clean. Andrew called it for a nice short around here, and it did just drop nicely. You got a couple of points out of that. Again, this is a big move. This is 73, and you're heading down all the way almost to 70.50s or so. So again, that is a good drop. Andrew called it around this area. That, as I said, it was looking short. He didn't take it, but he did call it right on time, and right after he called it, nice beautiful drop there. And then CREE, actually, I think it was Andrew, someone in the channel mentioned this one as it was kept hitting our turbo breakdown scanners. But look at this beautiful opening range breakdown. If I was not messing around with BZUN, this would have been a great one to take. Again, gives you a beautiful pullback right to VWAP. That's a great entry for short, and then you can see it just never looks back, cracking the low of the day, making new lows and new lows, giving you a nice cushion. Once it does that, you just keep moving your stop loss up towards break even, then towards your first partial. So, and then if you can just be very patient because you got a nice cushion on this, and look how the drop is. Just an amazing drop, and early too. It does not take all day to give you a couple of points here. So let's say you got in this area, this was around 54.50. This thing dropped down to 48. So again, that's just an incredible drop. This came over into our trade idea scanners. If you look at the pre-market action, there's nothing going on here, no activity, no volume, and then you get this beautiful nice drop here. So again, trade ideas bringing this out in our turbo breakdown scanner yesterday. So that's what we have for yesterday, guys. Let's go over to some news on what's going on with the SPY and for the rest of this week, this Thursday and Friday tomorrow. Norm, what do we have?
Yeah, so as of the moment, SPY's up about 0.25%. It's actually a little bit more calm than it's been in the last few days with the gaps, or last week, let's call it. VIX is pretty steady. It's up just a hair, 0.5%. So we'll see if this volatility starts to die down or not. Some of these days we come in here, it's been up several percentage points or more over the last week and a half. You know, one of the things that caused the drop last week was a yield curve inversion that people talk about being an indicator of a recession coming at some point. And different people have argued why this time might be different. We won't know if that's the case for a couple of years, probably. But you know, everything from yields around the globe being very low or even negative in some cases, which makes sense. I mean, can you imagine going and you know, when you go get a bank account, you give them $100,000 and you in return you're supposed to get some kind of payment, interest, right? But can you imagine going to a government in Europe and giving them $100,000 or $1 million for 30 years? And you having to pay them to keep your money? That's insane. So, ouch. You know, it's pushing a lot of money. It's pushing, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's crazy to even think about. So, you know, a lot of people are saying that might have something to do with it. Some of the Fed actions unrolling their balance sheet. There's a bunch of different, thought processes on why that's going on, but. So we'll see. I mean, as we've seen, retail earnings have been coming out steadily, and not all of them, but overall, pretty good. You can see Nordstrom's gapping up, BJ's wholesale gapping up, Dick's gapping up this morning. Of course, we had Target lows. Home Depot wasn't all that impressive, but overall the consumer's strong, and that's 2/3 of the U.S. economy. So that's kind of where we're sitting. Jobless claims just came out, essentially in line, a little bit lower than expected. So that's a somewhat positive note. Fed meeting came out, notes came out yesterday. There's no clear roadmap to future cuts, but they're highly anticipated. So that's kind of where we sit.
Excellent. All right, guys, so let's get into it. Let's go over our gappers. Let's see what's happening here. We have starting off here with GSX. This one is up 12.5 this morning, 130,000 shares traded so far. I see it must be a recent IPO, just starting back in early July, looks like, in this area here. So again, not much history. Has a nasty daily chart though. In between here and here, this is very nasty. Not much going on. So again, not sure what type of company this is. GX Tech to do or whatever that is. But again, pre-market activity not looking all that great. It does have some volume. It is up quite a bit, but again, a stock like this with not a lot of history. And what is the float on this one, by the way? Also 23 million shares float, so not quite a lot there. Bordering a really low flow stock. I don't see much that we can like here, so we'll see. We'll keep it on here. It is hitting all-time highs here at 1855 is the high currently for all time, but again has been doing a nice little run, been holding $9 and now trading at 18. Norm, any news on this recent IPO, or is this something that we don't have much info on just yet?
They released earnings this morning. This is a Chinese tutoring company. What it is. So I'm not real familiar with it. Like you said, it's a fairly recent IPO. I tend to stay away from companies like this. The float in FinViz is 23 million, which is lower than I usually trade. I've seen some other sources that have a higher float, but just like I stay away from companies personally like this, so I haven't looked into it a ton this morning.
Yeah, no, this will be a dangerous one today, guys. And again, also the pre-market activity not looking all that great. Volume is there, but again, no information on here. Recent IPO, not a lot of great levels here, or moving averages to not a history to follow on. So we'll be
I mean this thing closed at what, $16 yesterday. It's got a $1.06 ATR, which $1 ATR at a $16 stock is enormous.
Yeah, especially with that type of flow and not much information on it, you want to be very, very careful. So here we have BJ is up 8%, 173,000 shares traded so far. So this is a company that we actually know here. And then we have an okay pre-market activity, but again, it's a nicey stock, and I say okay because BJ's, this is the type of action that it gives you. It doesn't give you a great pre-market activity like an AMD or one of these other stocks that tend to have a lot more volume. So this will still be a good one to watch. You do have most of the volume sitting on here, 54,000 shares in this one candle. Let's hope that continues to get better. But I do like the pop here, getting above a previous area of resistance and support. This is 24 area. You can see he got some support and resistance on here. So this could be interesting. So BJ is also reporting, right? You mentioned earlier about some of these consumer retail companies reporting.
Yeah, BJ's reported this morning. They beat on earnings and held up their guidance. So that's what's popping it. Their conference call is going on as we speak. There doesn't seem to be very good pre-market activity right now, but as we all know, when the conference call goes on, that could change one way or the other anytime.
Excellent. All right, so here we have DKS. So DKS up 8.4 as well. 434,000 shares traded. A lot of recent levels on here. I'm just going to remove this. We'll get some more better levels in a second. But right now, pre-market activity looking a little more live than BJ's. This one has a lot more volume as well. Also popping up and kind of stalling right with the price action is right where we would expect it. You see some levels here, support and resistance. So right on there at 35.75. Good earnings on Dix as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they reported this morning. They beat their estimates. Dix has been in some pain recently, and if you look at especially at a weekly chart going back to 2017, this is about a third of the price that it used to be trading at, around $60 or so. They made some interesting business decisions, and I'm not trying to get into politics here, so I won't let it go in that direction. But one of the stores they own is called Field and Stream, which is an outdoor hunting store, and they curtailed some firearm sales, which hurt them. They made a decision to business decision to do that kind of bled off the stock, and so they've kind of been in a world of hurt recently. So the positive news on their earnings has brought them up a little bit this morning.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can see they've been taking a hit again, trading a little higher in the past, and now kind of dipping down a bit here. So this is good. Definitely in play today, guys. Got some good volume out of it. This is a nicey stock, but it does have an okay pre-market activity with some decent volume. So definitely worth watching today with some good earnings news on there. JWN, we have traded this in the past quite often. Right over here had a nice gap, so we did have some levels. All these levels here are based, I'm assuming, on this day that it gapped down. You can see that day was probably horrible. I don't see much happening on there. So again, let's see what we got going on here. So pre-market activity is looking all right, not all that exciting, but we do have 428,000 shares traded. We are up 7% on this one. Same situation as the other ones we've seen already this morning. Again, just kind of stalling around the last area of support or resistance. Price action right on that. So this one is Nordstrom. I'm assuming this is retail earnings as well.
It is retail earnings. Nordstrom has been in a world of hurt in the last couple of years. You know, it kind of the same story as a lot of them, with mall traffic being way down, people ordering things online. So they beat some they beat some pretty modest estimates, and that's what's popping them up. Also, it was noted in their call, maybe in their report as well, that the family that owns or founded Nordstrom is looking to buy back shares, and some people are thinking they might try to take it private again at some point.
Gotcha. That might make sense. Yeah, I don't know how these stores stay open. I go to the mall. The mall is packed. There's no parking, but it looks like everybody's just walking the hallways and trying to enjoy the AC. They're not really in the store. You go in here and it's completely empty. There's more employees than actually people shopping. So interesting. Let's go over to PSTG. PSTG here is up 6.5, well 5.9 now. It's just dropped. 203,000 shares traded, and pre-market activity is not looking all that great, guys. Again, I just don't see a lot great happening here with the pre-market. We'll remove some of these levels. We'll get some fresh ones. Slightly below an area of support right on here, so not quite closing the gap. This thing has been dropping drastically. So some good news for PSTG this morning. Norm, they're up quite a bit.
They released earnings last night. They beat on their earnings, their top and bottom line, their earnings and revenues, but their guidance was a little bit weak. I'm kind of shocked to see it up the way it is right now, but we'll see.
Okay, excellent. So again, not the best daily chart too. Looking at it close, it doesn't look all that great. But again, hopefully this pre-market activity can get a little better. It is a nicey stock. We do have shares for short. You can see right here in the montage. So let's see what we can get out of that later on this morning. Tesla's back on here, up another 2.8. So Tesla's been gapping up and down, kind of stuck within this consolidation area, just kind of this range. If you look at it here between 235 and then all the way down here, 215. We did have a breakout. This was very nice to trade. But we're back within this range again, right? So we'll see. Back up again today, 2.9. Pre-market activities is actually looking decent. This candle's throwing it off, right? It's making this not look all that great. But if you zoom in, you can see this is a good pre-market activity on the 5 with some good volume. 512,000 shares traded for this type of stock. The way it usually trades is very nice. So they're up 2.9. Norm, anything new going on with Tesla? What's the deal with these guys? I mean, it just seem to be all over the place.
We spoke. I mean, they've dropped in the last couple of days on word that Walmart was suing them for some fires caused by their solar panels on their roofs. And it gets a little more detailed than that, but that's kind of the bottom line. I think I thought I heard something about the CEO of Volkswagen or something was interested in a piece of Tesla or something. I'm not quite sure. But that's kind of what I think. It's just bouncing off the recent drop primarily, though.
Gotcha. Some more technicals and actual news going on with Tesla. Here we have SPLK. So SPLK is down 4.3. So the first one we have down this morning. All these other ones were up, and now we're going to the ones that are gapping down. So down 4.3, 230,000 shares traded so far. I'm going to remove these levels. Again, just kind of stuck in the nasty consolidation after this beautiful drop here. We can see here it's hitting the 200 moving average. That's the 200. Is that correct? Yep, 200 moving average right on there. So the low of the pre-market sitting right at that area. Pre-market activity not looking all that great. We do have some volume on it, 230, but not the best pre-market activity so far. Not a lot of volume. I'm sorry, not a lot of price action movement at the moment. So sitting right on this 200. Again, could be interesting. Not sure what is the news on this one. Splunk is the name of this company.
Yeah, Splunk, they reported last night. They beat their estimates, and they're acquiring a company. I can't remember. It's a cloud software firm. So that's what's going on. And then they came out with, some, they got some various reiterations, downgrades, and such on and price target reductions by analysts overnight that came out this morning after their call.
Excellent. All right, so we'll definitely keep it on here. Again, not too excited about this price action. Daily looks slightly interesting. We do have this nice moving average, which we found support in the past several times, almost quite there. And then this one very clearly hitting that and bouncing up this pre-market. Next, we have RTRX, and this one is down huge, down 27%, 762,000 shares traded. I really don't like the daily chart though. The daily chart looks horrible, guys. Look at this thing. Just not looking all that clean. It's a stock that's trading at 12 bucks, down from 17 of the close yesterday. Flow is 41 million shares flow, so not quite low flow. That could definitely be tradable. Pre-market activity looks very active. You got some weird candles in here, but nothing to worry about for right now. The pre-market activity looks very good with some decent volume. What I don't like about this one is the way the daily looks. This looks a little funky, but what's the news on this one, Norm? This one is down huge today.
Yeah, it's a drug maker, and they had a trial that did not go as well as they anticipated. So,
gotcha. All right, guys. So that is what we have in our gappers list for trade ideas. Let's go over to our Nasdaq active. So we have VIVE penny stock. We'll skip that. RTRX. We have CLSD, also a penny stock. TVIX is on here, should be slightly down. Yes, down 2.3 this morning. NAKD, we know it's a penny stock. Tesla, we have Nasdaq ETF, that's a QQQ. So for those that are joining for the first time and might not be aware, like I was, right? We don't know everything. We learn as we go, especially in our community. That's the whole point of this. You can see here, this kind of reflects what the Nasdaq market is doing. So they're slightly up this morning. So here we have MBIO. So MBIO is really trades like a penny stock. I'm not sure if it is actual penny stock, but doesn't trade very well, guys. Be careful with this one. It usually sells down after it pops. So it looks like it's been in a run the last couple of days. But again, this one doesn't trade very well. Our strategies that we teach and trade do not work well in these type of stocks. This is why the mid flow stocks to the large stocks are the ones that really give you a good edge on the strategies that we trade, right? You start messing around with low floats, and your equity would do this, boom, right? We've seen that happen so many times, so just be very careful. Next we have another Nasdaq ETF. AMD is on here. What's AMD doing today? 330,000 shares traded with a continuation of a really nasty daily chart. We haven't traded AMD in a while or had it in our list. Let's see what it did yesterday, just for the heck of it. All right, so yesterday had a nice engulfing crack towards the top. So sold off, kind of came back up here, engulfed the previous candle, and actually went on a beautiful trend trade here. So AMD traded nice yesterday. Might be a good one to watch today. On the daily, we're heading back up towards an area of resistance, so that I like that on the daily. Again, not the best daily chart here. A lot of choppiness, but this is also due to the way the market has been trading the last couple of weeks. Right, hasn't been all that clean with the ups and down. So again, could be interesting. Pre-market activity so for AMD this morning. We're going to throw it on here because I'm sure out of this list there's some that we're going to take off. AMD could be a good possible. Tops is really more of a wow. Tops is up. Is that right? Oh, 1,742. I was going to say this is usually a penny stock.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's probably a reverse split.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So
it is a reverse split.
Gotcha. All right. So again, this is more of a penny stock, guys. Not really tradable. It was very active before. I think it was 2-3 years ago. Before I was day trading, this stuff was very active. I always heard people trading tops. But again, not really tradable now. CETX is on here, 286,000 shares, up 23.1 this morning. What kind of float is this? Looks like a penny stock or a low flow stock. CETX, yeah, 1.4 million shares flow, guys. So very low flow. You can see it had a nice day 2 days ago where it popped up and it sold back off. But again, not really into these low flow stocks. And even this pre-market activity for a nice low flow doesn't look great neither, right? We're not seeing that type of volume that we like to see in that type of pre-market activity. Could get better during the day, but I'm not going to watch this one. PHUN, also another penny stock, guys. Not really much going on here. Not much volume. NETE, same situation, more of a penny stock, no volume at the moment. OPRA, no volume, no activity. INBN, same situation. ORBC, nothing good happening there. Kirk, we have Kirk here. This one is not doing much, no activity. And WTRH, also not doing anything great. It looks like it's about to crack 100K here, but again, it's up 6.5, but more of a penny stock, not really anything we want to get into. All right, folks, so that is what we have. Norm, what do you like this morning?
Other than what we've just been going over, I do like Apple. Can I get near its recent top again, sitting at 213? Its recent top is around 218, 219. And then it's got a ways to go before its all-time high. NVIDIA held that 170 level yesterday, up at 172, and Roku really went to the top of its recent range too. So I'll have my eye on those, see what they do today.
Excellent. Yeah, NVIDIA continues to just kind of hold it here. It looks like it just wants to crack out of this. This daily chart is looking a little interesting here. All right, folks, what do you guys have on your end? So we have keys, KEYS. So we have keys here, up 6.9, 106,000 shares traded. All right, this could be interesting. This is probably going to hit our scanners any minute now. Yep, here it is. Now that it's above 100,000, it's definitely in our scanners. Pre-market activity not looking all that great, but I do love this pop here, though. This is a very nice pop. What's the float on this? Float is 187, so that's good. ATR, we're looking at 294, so that's a little bit, 297. That's a little bit on the high side, so you got to be very careful with the number of shares you take here. Again, this one here is gapping up quite a bit, so definitely one worth having on our list this morning. So let's see how the pre-market activity continues. Go ahead.
They reported last night they beat top and bottom line, and then they've had some upgrades this morning too. That's what's giving keys their pop today.
Yeah, that's a nice pop here. So again, we'll definitely have this one in play today in our line. CRM, Salesforce.com. See what we have going on here. So they are up 1.3. This one trades a little funky, guys. Sometimes it doesn't trade all that clean. I traded before in the past, but today they don't have quite the volume there. Again, they seem like to have found a bottom and are kind of crawling their way out of here. But again, this is one that right now I don't see anything too exciting at the moment. David has Apple, feels like a coil spring. Let me see Apple. Yeah, it does look like that. You're right. Again, Apple's going to be interesting. It just keeps banging its head on around this 213 area. Looks like it wants to break out, like Norm mentioned earlier. So this 219 could be a possible there. PDD was very active yesterday. See what it's doing today. Let's remove all these levels here. We might get a continuation out of it. We got some volume, but we got a horrible pre-market activity. Nothing great happening here with the pre-market activity like it did yesterday. But maybe it does the opposite. Maybe it had a great pre-market activity, traded horrible. Maybe a horrible pre-market activity is going to trade great. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know.
Carlos, can you pull up the 5 minute? I know you already looked at this, but that 5 minute at the open yesterday.
Yeah, let's bring it.
PDD was just complete trash.
Yeah. Yes. It's just nasty. I mean, look at this, guys. Right in here. I got stopped out twice on this for the long. Just looked like every time it was gonna pop, you got this nasty drop every time. So again, just didn't trade very well. But look at the pre-market activity. It was a beautiful pre-market activity, right? You got this nice setup here. Has some good volume, you know. And Brian mentioned this. It had ran up so much probably, but it was just done by the time it opened up. It had no more to give towards the top. Although everyone seemed like it wanted to get in here for long to at least go test this high of the pre-market around 30.50. Just didn't have the juice. So again, it could be a good one today, guys, to watch. But again, right now it does have the volume, but just pre-market activity is just not great at all, guys. So I'm not going to watch this one unless it hits our scanners. We can tune into it. It looks like it might want to give some back today. Again, this had a huge drop today after a couple of days of a huge strength as well. Look at this. This keeps going up and up. So, all right, what else we have? Target. TGT.
Target, yeah, it's on my list. I forgot to mention it to you earlier.
Yeah, Target does look very good, guys. It's a good pre-market activity. It's not hitting our scanners because it's only up 1.4. But aside from that, this continuation looks very nice. Finally cracked that all-time high yesterday from yesterday, so we're gapping up nicely here. Yeah, Target is definitely one we can watch this morning. Has a good pre-market activity. What else, guys? 5. Let's look at 5. So 5, no volume on this one right now. I see what you're probably looking at this daily. Had a great day yesterday, breaking out of this consolidation area here above the moving averages. Stopped out right where you had some prior support and resistance yesterday, and now it looks like it can head higher. But again, just no volume on this one at all at the moment. Next we have PDD. We have excellent. So I think we kind of cover a lot on here. We do have plenty to go through. Not all of this looks great. Obviously, we'll go through it in a second. Last one here, JMIA. Yeah, not looking good on JMIA. It's just trash right now, guys. And yesterday too, this trade like trash. I tuned into it for a little bit because I know it was in play. It kept hitting the scanners. Great volume, but just really crappy. All right, guys.
And so I don't know. I don't think anybody has shares for short on it either. I know I didn't with IB. Maybe later in the day some popped up, but I think it's got a massive short float. I don't have it pulled up right now.
Yeah, no, I didn't have shares for short neither when I pulled it up, but that was not available. So, all right, folks, let's get over to our announcements for today. Norm, take it away.
Yeah. So starting off tonight, we've got our lifetime webinar. So there is a post created in the forums to place your questions. We will go through that. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Last week we posted the interview / question and answer with Dr. Brett Steenbarger, and it's on YouTube for your viewing. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. I think you'll really enjoy it. And a special announcement, we are actually going to have a Bear Bull Traders meetup in New York City in September. September, let me make sure 100% I get the date right, 21st in New York City with Dr. Brett Steenbarger. So attendance is going to be limited, and we're actually, you'll have to get a ticket to it just because we've got to control the amount. I mean, there will be plenty of spots. It'll be a massive meetup, but we just have to have a head count and everything else. So there's a link up top in the events or in the alert section that ABL's posted. If you would go register for that, if you're interested in going, we would love to have you there. Also in meetup news, San Francisco meetup September 7th. And then as I've mentioned, Bear Bull Traders is honored to have been nominated for the Benzinga FinTech Awards in their Best Financial Literacy Tools category. So there is a link up top. It's very quick, 2 clicks to vote. You can vote one time per day per device. If you like our content and being part of the room, we would love to have your vote and appreciate it very much. DAS is kicking off their second trader competition, the #1 best trader competition, and it's a $75 early registration fee. If you use the promo code BBTFall15, you can save $15, so $60. And the competition is the month of September, so the 3rd through the 30th. And I believe you get the demo account started a little bit early, so you can practice on there before that. So it's actually a pretty darn good deal to take advantage of through DAS. What else am I missing? Let me look at my notes. Trade Ideas, a few times a year, they have a sale where they offer 25% off their subscriptions. So right now there's actually a link. You can just click that and go look at the offerings or the promo code back to school to check out. It's 25% off either their standard or their premium subscription. If you do monthly, it's 25% off the first month. If you do annual, you get 25% off that full year. So it's really a heck of a deal. They only do it a couple of times a year. So whenever you get a chance, Um, and that is all I've got, Carlos.
All right, excellent, guys. All right, so let's get to it, guys. Let's start over here with the top GXSX. Again, this one here, recent IPO starting back in July. Not a lot of history all the way up here. I do not like the way this pre-market is forming right now. It does have 151,000 shares traded. Not many levels you can add on here. So I already have the 1853, which is the high of the pre-market. We do have the low, which is very close to the high of yesterday, so don't really need to add any more there. There's no information here between the high from yesterday, the low of today, over to 16, the previous day close. And then from there, you have your 15, which is nice, and your 14. So that's really all the levels you have on this one. Again, this not a lot of information on this ticker, so I'm definitely probably not going to keep this one on my list. Here we have BJ's. BJ's reported earnings, so that's what's making their gap up this morning of 9.5, which is quite a bit. We do have high of the pre-market sitting at 26. Our low is sitting at 23.72. If we go in here, look at 26, definitely an area of support and resistance. If you look at this red line right on here, you can see several days opening and closing or bouncing off that 26, so that's nice. Above that, if we can get back towards the top, we're kind of sitting right in the middle between the low and the high right now. If we could get back up, 26.96 could be a good area as well. You can clearly see the resistance after this drop, right? After this drop, it tries to get above this. It cannot, continues to head down, testing it one more time, and just continues to really struggle with that 26.96. So if we're on the way up above 26, this could be an area where we can lose some momentum. We definitely want to be taking out some profits. If we squeeze above this, sometimes we could break through these levels, and you see the shorts covering drastically, can even hit a higher level. So just in case that happens, not saying that will, but we'll be prepared. 28.52 is another one, but again, you want to be careful with this 28. The whole dollar numbers are usually an area where you lose some momentum. The price is sitting right at an area of support, so I'm going to mark this down because you have several days on here. If you look at the chart closely, where I'm going to draw this line at, right around 24.69, where the price action is now. Look closely how these days are consolidating here, bouncing off from here as well. These 2 days, opening and closing around this same area, so that this an area of support and resistance that you want to have on your list. If it does head down below that, we do have our 23.72 low of the pre-market. And then below that, I like this date here, this level 23.21 off this date here, and several days opening and closing in this area, especially these two here as well. Then you got the drop, previous day close, and high from yesterday also. So plenty of very clean levels on BJ's. You do have a nice daily here, creating a lot of changing directions and a lot of touch basis points on the same level. So that makes it even more interesting. That just gives it those levels a lot more strength. Over to DKS. DKS at the moment has a good pre-market activity, some good volume. This is a nicey stock, so you're not going to get anything too exciting. Good morning, Brian. And we do have high of the pre-market at 37.92. Above that, we do have 39.26. So very nice clean level here. You can see it was tested, couldn't keep that. Above that, came right back down to 37.92. Above that, if we're able to break out of the highs, which again we're pretty down right now on DIX, we do have this peak over here at 41.19. So that's pretty far away from the price action right now. Again, we're kind of in the middle, slightly between the low and the high of the pre-market. Price action also sitting at a level that I want to mark. If you see this line I'm going to draw now, around, what is this, 35.63. If you see this line here, again, another area right where the price action is at, where you do have some connections of support and resistance right on there. So again, several days even consolidating around off this level 35.61. You can see the few times that it came below, it came right back up, or at least close above this level. So that's going to be interesting to see what it does there. This can go in any direction, guys. Although it had good earnings, it looks like it's been losing some of it as high as 37.92, but now we're hanging out at 35.55. Towards the bottom, low 34.41, but I also like this level here as well. I'm going to mark this one 34.89. The reason for that, you have several days doing the exact same thing, just kind of support and resistance around that price range, and then you have your low of the pre-market right on there. Below that, you have your highs and lows from the last two trading days. Previous day closed around 33, so don't need to really add anymore. Towards the top, guys, just one more level, 37.92 from 35. That's a very long move. That's going to take a lot of power to do that. I'm seeing you also have a nice area here around 36.96, 36.93. So That's also another area you can see if you draw a line right on. There's several days just bouncing off that level as well. So that is Dix. Next we have JWN. JWN not looking all that great on the daily, but it could surprise us. Again, I don't have a great experience trading this stock. It doesn't trade very clean, but it could surprise us today. So high of the pre-market sitting at 29.55, the low at 28.31. Below that, you do have this one here, 27, very close to the low of the pre-market, but you got 27.81. Then below that, you have this moving average around 27.09. I'm going to mark that down. And then here you have plenty highs and lows, previous day close, all in this area. Again, not the cleanest daily chart. So when you don't have a very clean daily chart, it's very difficult to find these nice levels, right? Clearly, all the way up here, 33.87 is an area of resistance, tested twice. Towards the top above the pre-market activity, you do have right in here. There we go. I'm going to get a lot of touch points. 30.48, you have it here on these days as well. All these days as support and support as well. So again, so you got several areas around that 38.48, but this is definitely not one of my favorite ones this morning. I'm not sure I will be keeping this one. PSTG, guys, again, not the cleanest pre-market activity. Does have a nice pop today of 7.9. Price action sitting right at a level high of the pre-market, 15.10. Price action right off this level here. So I'm not going to mark it down because it's very close to the high of the pre-market at the moment. You also have a moving average here. Let's see if that's going to hold PSTG down. Towards the top, if we can get going, you clearly have an area right here of resistance, 16.79. Another one right in the midpoint of 16.20. You can see 16.20 has been tested over and over again throughout the last couple of weeks. Towards the bottom, do you have anything towards the bottom? You might not have anything towards the bottom. Let's just look at the weekly. Okay, here we go. So we're going back a couple of years here. Let's mark down this one here, 14.45, a clear area of the weekly that you can see some kind of support and resistance. And then from below that 14.45, you have plenty of stuff, guys. Moving averages, levels, previous day close, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. So don't need to add more on there. So again, so that's a PSTG. Again, not looking all that great. Might not be one that we keep. Tesla's getting a little active here, 56K dropping on this 5 minutes. So I'm not sure if any news broke out, but looks like something might have happened. Just looking over, yes. So we do have our Benzinga here, and you can see there's some news on Tesla here that's just coming out right now at 9:13 a minute ago. Some rumors about Volkswagen, so this is causing some reaction on this stock right now. So you can see this is 76,000 shares traded, making it even more interesting. So right now it's stuck within this range. You have several highs and lows, moving averages all in this area here. If we can break out of this mess, we have 211.90 towards the bottom, and then towards the top we have 235.79. But I also want to mark down this moving average here, guys, 232.84. So that's what we have on Tesla. Let's see how this news plays out. You're definitely getting in some sick volume coming in right now, 87,000 shares in the last 5 minutes. So we'll see how that plays out with the recent news with some rumors of Volkswagen here. SPLK, guys, not looking all that great, but the day does look interesting. So we'll put some levels on here. 121.53 is low of the pre-market. You do have an area right in here around 122.93. Not the greatest, but you do have a bounce off this day that I do want to mark on the chart. Towards the top, you have your highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Some moving averages, also previous day close right around 129.46. If we can break out of this, again, it has to go through a lot to get to 132.30 will be the next area of possible resistance. But right now, you have plenty of levels right in here. It's right in the midpoint of your high and your low of the pre-market. So we'll see where we can get out of that. RTRX is not sure what to think of RTRX. Again, it has a million shares traded. It is down quite a bit, guys, 29.4. So could be interesting at the open, depending if we can pick a direction. Right now, it does have an okay pre-market activity, but it does look pretty choppy at the moment. So low of the pre-market, 10.883, high 13.78. You have the last area of support that could be resistant around 15.58. I just want to go back here. All right, let's go to our weekly, see what we can find. Since we're going once I go over past a year or two, the weekly could be a good one to use to be able to find some of these areas. So we have 838. Again, that's a big drop from where the price action is at now, but this thing is down quite a bit. So anything is possible. And then towards the top, looks like we are covering with our 1558 and our 1378. We're covering most of the areas that we're seeing some support and resistance, some change in direction. So I think we got some good levels on here. With this type of style is down so much, you also want to look out for this 14 and 15, 16 areas. So be careful with those as well. Here we have AMD, guys. Not doing anything too great. I'm just going to remove it. I think we have plenty that look exciting. Target definitely looks exciting. We do have our levels from yesterday, so do not need to add any more. Just add the high of the pre-market sitting at 104.86, but definitely target in play this morning. Apple I'm going to remove for now. Nvidia looks interesting, but I'm also going to remove it for now. It's just because the volume is not there. And same with Roku. I'm sure probably Brian's going to watch Roku for us today and give us a heads up if anything's moving there. Keys definitely interesting. Not the best pre-market activity, but it is up again 6.9. It's kind of losing it now. Low of the pre-market 94.96, kind of getting some support there now. Let's see what it does in a couple of minutes. And then towards the top 98.83. I'm not sure if we're sitting on an all-time high on this one. Just want to go back. Let's look at the weekly. Looks like we are, guys. So Keys is hitting all-time high at 98.83. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that makes it even more interesting. So towards the bottom, if we lose this low of the pre-market, we do have 93.83 as well, plus this other area here 92.80. So not much on here, guys. So again, there's no levels going back this way on Keys. CRM, I'm going to remove CRM, guys. It's not a great pre-market activity, not that much volume, only up 1%, but again, this one is a difficult one to trade. All right, so let's just go through this real quick. We have GS I'm going to remove this one, recent IPO. I don't have shares for short. BJ's looks interesting. Doesn't have a great pre-market action, but I do expect some movement. It is a nice stock, so I expect the volume to kick in. Good morning, Andrew. Your video seems
Carlos.
to still be loading. I wasn't sure if he was ready.
Problem with the camera. There's a problem with the camera. That's why.
Okay, gotcha. All right, guys, so this is what we have so far. I'm going to fine-tune this a little more. For those in YouTube, thank you for joining us. Andrew's going to reset and come on. Actually, we'll continue until Andrew resets his station here. So Keys is good. Oh, there it goes, breaking that low of the pre-market. That's good. Target is good. RTRX, I'm not sure about this one. SPLK, I'm going to remove SPLK and Tesla. Let's see what Tesla's doing. Yeah, I'm going to remove Tesla. Just because I have way too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Still too many today. All right, I'm going to keep this 7 for now. I'll see what Norm, Brian, and Andrew are going to bring on board, and then we'll adjust our watch list accordingly.
I'm about to post mine myself.
Excellent. Guys, thank you for joining us on YouTube. Take care. Trade safe on this Thursday, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern Time. Take care, guys.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So my camera is making